Hey guys, how you doing? This is Mark Melnick. We're going to be talking a little bit about how steel is going to end up affecting you. How steel names and these steel tariffs and these aluminum tariffs, what does it mean for the market? What does it mean for you as a trader? What does it mean for you as a human being? So, we've heard it. We've heard it. Our steel industries are suffering beyond belief. Everything has been getting punished. Everything has been getting beaten up. That could not be further from the truth. If you actually look at the earnings from a couple years ago, even last year, basically, even if you go like, for example, 2016 to now, you will realize that these steel companies have been earning record profits between today and then before any of these steel tariffs have come about. That generally happens with a bullish market as people buy new businesses, new houses, new cars. I mean, you mention it, more beer, perhaps. Things like this have a way of really driving up the industry. Now, what do these tariffs mean for you? We've seen it come out of the White House, and talk of a 25% steel tariff for imported Chinese steel. Obviously, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a blanket of countries, but the number one recipient of this tariff to be most affected will, of course, be the country of China. And then you also heard that there's going to be a 10% aluminum tax that was also coming in as well. So, what does this mean for you? Well, I got news for you. You see that car you have in your driveway, in your garage, parked outside? The majority of that, or a good portion of that rather, was made from Chinese steel. See, what people don't talk about is that 70% of the steel used in the United States comes from, you ready for this? The United States. It's only 30% of the steel that comes from outside the country, the majority of that 30%, yes, coming from China. And this is basically how this is going to affect the market and then you. So, first, let me talk about you, the little guy, and then we'll talk about the market and the entire economy as a whole and what this can cause. So, we've seen the market drop for a few days. We're walking into a gap down today. First of all, I do think we're going to rally off of this gap down. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll find out. But I do want to say what's going to happen. That beer can you're buying, that that Budweiser beer can you're buying will cost more money in the future. That car you're buying will cost more money in the future. That's going to be, of course, after this tariff is implemented. It's just going to physically cost more money to make. Everything, all these things are going to be affected. Your computer case, I kid you not. I mean, we're talking everything that involves steel and or aluminum will be going up in price. How about let's even be funnier. Your little Reynolds aluminum wrap, the little roll of aluminum that you keep in your kitchen that you use to wrap things up, that's actually going to become more expensive. So generally what's good for US companies is making more money. When US companies make more money, there's a myriad of ways to go about it. One of the ways we saw was the president's tax cuts, which literally said, okay, you can have more money by giving the government less. It has to come from somewhere. With these tariffs imposed, guess what? These companies are going to make more money based on you giving them more money. And the steel companies, for example, like Letter X, pulled in over $140 million in profits recently. That was comparatively to like $60 million a year ago. That's without any of these tariffs. So, no, these steel companies have not been suffering. What they don't talk about is the steel. So then you're going to, of course, ask the question. The best question we'll receive on this is, why are people losing steel jobs? Why? If the price is going up, wouldn't there be more jobs, for example? What you're discounting is the fact that these people were losing their steel and aluminum jobs based on technology, based on more efficient ways to produce things, based on robots, based on artificial intelligence, really, based on machinery, based on advances in technological machinery, is why we've seen these industries laying off workers because there were cheaper ways of getting things done. So looking now at some of these steel tariffs and aluminum tariffs, we obviously, fourth, now we're walking into a market where we're gapping down yet again. You see the Q's down $1.60 this morning. We had 3 red days in a row. This one obviously making a clear threat to be the fourth in a row. And people are wondering what's going to happen. Well, I'm going to explain to you now what's going to happen on the market scale. Forget about the fact that your car's going to cost a little more money, or the beer you buy is going to cost a little more money, or your Reynolds wrap. Let's talk about the market as a whole. I'm going to talk about top companies right now that should be negatively affected by this. Well, everybody is afraid that we're going to start a trade war with China. China already, in preparation for this, started cutting their steel production and their steel output to try to make it more rare. The supply demand, they're trying to cut supply to already prep for this. However, a tariff like this is going to do a lot of damage to their steel industry. You ever walk inside a Walmart? You ever walk in? You ever read the label on some of the things you're buying there? You ever buy some t-shirts, some clothes? You notice something about them? They're made in insert country outside the US here, whether it's the Philippines, whether it's China, whether it's Taiwan. If a trade war comes out, guess what? All these Americans who appreciate the type of pricing power that they would receive at a Walmart have just become weaker. Guess what that means? Americans spend less money. So companies like Walmart are due to get destroyed. Guess what nobody else is talking about? Nobody else is talking about probably something even bigger than Walmart that's going to be extremely negatively affected by this. And I know a lot of you guys are going to drop your jaw when I go ahead and I put in this new stock right here. And when I'm telling you what's going to be negatively affected by these tariffs if and when they go through next week, of course. How about this one? How about this one? So when you buy things on Amazon, what happens is you have a group of people who it's their actual living. I know people who make millions of dollars doing this. They literally go to the factories in China. They produce whatever the heck they want, whether it's a tumbler, whether it's a toy, whether it's a tent, whether just anything, any random thing. They produce it as cheap as possible, and they see if they could sell it on Amazon. And if they're able to sell some, what they do is they literally, through like a boat, ship it over from China to California, where you have an Amazon warehouse. They load up the Amazon warehouse with their stock, and they sell all these products on Amazon. You know what's going to happen to those prices on Amazon? They're going to go up. Nobody talked about the prices, the beautiful pricing on Amazon, which they have such a monopoly over, where you could get like the cheapest things mailed to your house in 2 days, right? These little toys. Heck, I even bought these little. I bought like 50 of these little car toys. They're like little construction car toys, like little, so cool. Like they had like a ball and chain demolisher, whatever. Like the things that knock down buildings, like tractors. Things like along those lines. And I bought like a bunch of them for my son. So when my son is good, I'll let him go ahead and pick one of the toys out. It was cheap. It ended up costing me like, I think $8. And if anybody out there has a kid, $8 to satiate your kid 50 times is a bargain beyond belief. And even little silly things like that can be at risk of going up in price. Now, this is going to potentially hurt China as well. The question is going to remain is how China wants to retaliate on this. If China retaliates, they hurt the US market at the expense of their own market. And companies like Amazon, companies like Walmart, some of the biggest companies in the world, they are going to actually be hurt by a potential trade war, because what it's going to end up doing it's going to end up increasing the price of everything. And when you increase the price of everything, less things are sold, economy slows down a little. I am not here calling for a bear market. I'm just here talking about potential repercussions if China does want to retaliate and start making some of their wants to start making some of their exports a little more expensive. So I just wanted to share some of those thoughts with you. I hope you enjoyed this. Happy trading, make money, and we'll see you guys here on the live trading broadcast.